Good morning to you, wherever it is you are reaching us from around the world. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Wigwe'S. We'll be starting off today with our newspapers, and right after that would be our main conversation also for today. Please do well to be part of what we do have a say in what we say. You can always find and reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. With us right here in our studios is Barrister Evans Ofeli, Barrister, Law Public Affairs Analyst. He would be here to see us through everything we have from our newspapers and is possibly get us through our main conversation. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Thank you.
All right, let's start off today with the Punch newspaper this morning. And a litany of interesting stories here on security, on the lots of other things also. Rising insecurity, federal government orders new strategy amid fresh attacks in Borno and Benue State. And also below that, Pope Cardinals resume voting today after inconclusive first ballot. Senate passes two tax bills, reject 10% VAT. VDM released after 5 days in EFCC custody. Barrister, let's take a look at this one. U.S. helicopter firm indicted in Wigwe'S death. It's close to 1 year now we've lost Herbert Wigwe. And the United States of America, through their investigation, they are blaming the helicopter company that does tourism in that particular part of the country. And it blamed the pilot for having spatial disorientation. I took my time to look at the meaning. It was talking about how that the pilot is not sure of where he is. He's limited by sight, by what he hears and all. Is that enough in the indictment, or should the family demand more?
Well, it shows that there was negligence, because I saw the report. The company has been accused of being negligent, that the pilot in question had disorders. And you cannot take a pilot who have disorder, you cannot put him on a fleet. Okay, you know he has disorder, you know his medical record. Of course, pilots are supposed to be of sound mind, given the risk of aviation and what it takes to even fly an aircraft. Okay, so the due diligence that is required, okay, by the company itself, and all the retinue of medical compliances where the government found them wanting. And so that crash was avoidable. It was avoidable because usually when a plane crash, they have to get the black box. Okay, the black box is actually a record of what transpired in every place. So now that indictment is critical. The company will have to go in for it, because definitely the family will have to, even though they cannot bring back the dead, but there must be a level of compensation for the life loss. It's not just Wigwe that died. The wife and one of the sons.
Yeah, the son, his first son, the wife, and the man in charge of is it our second, I guess?
Yes, one of the officials.
Yes, officials. Yes.
So you see that is a great loss. So the company has to be reprimanded, and they have to go in for it.
Now, if we blame spatial disorientation for the death of Wigwe and 4 other people, how about the one that happened just 8 days back at Hudson River, where the same helicopter firm carrying 6 tourists, a family of 6, crashed right into Hudson River in New York?
Yeah, that's the same thing we're talking about. The investigation for that one is not out. Every crash have its own peculiarities. Every case have their own. I know 2 cases are the same. Okay, but for the one we have seen, the report, the investigation report, it was avoidable. The plane need not crash, because according to source, the helicopter was in good condition. Okay, so now it's not mechanical error or whatsoever. It is human error. And the human error is the soundness of the mind of the pilots.
But Barrister, at this point, sorry to interject you, at this point, because lots of world citizens would wonder, a first world country that has the best of technology, that has the best, literally, of everything, should we continuously believe the hype that the United States is more than enough, knowing that there's are little limitations that even developing countries would have avoided.
Oh, yeah, well, it is, Americans have made its mark. America has made its mark in the sand of time, in the world in general. They have subdued so many, they have break forth or breakthrough in so many human endeavors, areas of life. But that does not mean they are completely immune from errors, given that they are humans, okay? So, I mean, it is human to make occasional errors. It's not every day that plane crash in America. It's not every day. The best of countries, with the best of technologies and everything, planes still crash. Okay, anything mechanical can develop fault at any time. Okay, but what we're saying is minimizing the risk or taking care of what would have amounted to negligence that you ought to have taken care of to avoid this kind of death. They should be more cautious of it and all that. So you cannot withdraw. The hype is there. I mean, if you can't withdraw it because of one or two crashes here and there. Okay, you're always going to have errors. Okay,
because the reason I asked was the PA to Herbert Wigwe, in his statement, he said that he had told his boss that, do you think it's safe to fly? And he said, this is America.
Yeah.
Everything works here.
Yeah. This is America. Yeah, there's the assumption that when you get to America, everything is whole and perfect. In fact, I didn't know that there were bush in America until I went to America and I saw thick forests. Like, we don't even have forests here. What they show you on the TV is the city centers of their respective states, the skyscrapers, the city centers, and they are very good at advertising that brand called America. So anyone growing up, I mean, when we were much very young, 1984 thereabout, when we saw the film, is it First Blood or Rambo? The first Rambo.
Yeah.
So I think it has a title.
Yes.
So when we saw that movie, we're like, this is America at that time, and we've always seen that part of America. Coming to America that we saw when we were little.
Yeah.
Those movies, and we grew up with that perception that that place is a piece of heaven. It is largely so, but there are also lapses. And you could see that even in their security apparatus, because they are humans. They have advanced so much, but that doesn't mean everything is perfect. I mean, this crash is one that actually was avoidable, because I mean the reports are quite very clear. It was avoidable.
All right, we continue to pray for the repose of Herbert Wigwe, his family, his wife, the son, and the man that equally died as a result of that mishap. But let's take a look at other matters here. Benue governor alleges removal plot as Speaker Conference tackles National Assembly. One would wonder, before now we used to think that APC, they have concluded actually that APC was the haven of everything. Once you are part of the APC, you just go and sleep. But Governor Alia is alleging that there's a plot to remove him. Do you think, coming from the governor, do you think we should doubt that?
Well, the governor have a lot of information, security information, updates that an ordinary person may not have access to. So you cannot completely, with a wave of hand, set aside what he's saying. You understand? And at the same time, you cannot also conclude that truly they're about to remove him in what sense?
Maybe based on
the security
issues that he's not been able to solve.
And has not been able to solve. The removal is he talking about a state of emergency?
No, not really. Well, it's a politically induced
to remove him. To remove him in what sense? He can only be removed by the National Assembly, House of Assembly of the state, and that is by impeachment. And it has a process, okay? Except now that the president has introduced another way to remove the president, the governor, by the state of emergency, which is not recognized by law. So what exactly are the pointers? Because he didn't say much.
Yes.
He didn't say much as to who is doing what, when and how. And it's particularly not doing well at all, surprisingly. surprisingly, is particularly not doing well. It's not managing, it's not handling information well, it's not handling logistic proper, it's not administering that state proper. I've seen the lapses, and it's very painful, because one would have thought that given his disposition, his level of exposure, that he should be able to do something different from what we have seen before. But it doesn't look like he's going to be anything better than the one before him. I mean, I'm not seeing those signs. This is a state that is troubled largely by insecurity. There's no blueprint, even though it's a federal government that, but a state you have blueprint. Lagos, they have blueprint for security. They have a trust fund for security. Now, Lagos is peaceful today. It didn't just happen. There's a trust fund where people donate money for the security of this state. Okay, and all that. And the state is well policed. So, those kind of things, I don't know how they are doing it in Benue. I don't know how far the trouble spot like that should be left in the hands of someone who cannot coordinate it. It's painful. We don't know how long this is going to take or go.
So very true, because one would wonder, leadership in this country, is it based on personal experience? Is it based on academic acquisition? What is it really based on? So Nigerians can understand how to select the right leader for the job.
It's not based on anything.
It's based on what then?
It's not based on anything. It's based on your party affiliation and the ability of the party to buy vote during an election or to rig during an election. That's what it's based on. So the outcomes cannot be better than the process. The process is anyhow process. The outcome will be anyhow outcome. That's so. You cannot plant orange and reap maize. It's what you sow, you reap. Exactly, that's what's going on. As long as we are able to fix our electoral system, we're going to be having wrong outcomes. Okay? You can imagine governors, just in their state, doing nothing. They are not expanding IGR. They are not investing in the citizens. They are not investing in agriculture. They are not investing in industrialization. They are not investing in anything. They are just there, waiting for money to come from Abuja. Then they share, pay salaries, then they start to complain. They are not using half of what their power. Which state now? Benue State, as fertile as the land is in Benue State, and as Benue State could feed the whole of Nigeria, yes, and more. Okay, so what the governor of that state, what is he doing to tap into that resources? To at least deploy resources to have security so that the state could produce more, or partner with a neighboring state to do something exploit. So I don't know what was going on, really. Our leaders, our governors, maybe because of this money that comes from Abuja, it's a big distraction. Yeah, it's a big distraction.
So you possibly they are made to be autonomous. Do you think that might?
Yeah, maybe if we had federalism, they will be working to generate the money. Maybe that will make a difference, because they will now know that they had to put their acts together to be able to address the issues of their state. And then remember that they still have a tax to pay to the center. Yes. You understand? And wherein they are not able to pay the tax, it becomes a grounds for impeachment or for removal of the governor. Then it will make sense. But this thing will have where either they work, they do anything, they don't do anything, money will come from Abuja, is a big problem to us. And I don't think we can go any further than we have gone with that system. I don't think so. I don't think we can go any further than this with the current establishment we have. There's a critical need for restructuring. A critical need, even though I hate that word, restructuring. But there's a critical need to change the patterns of things, to change administration, to change the outlook, to change processes, to change the way we go about administration and governance. We need to do something about it.
All right, let's equally get to the Vanguard newspaper for this morning. And still the same story. Governor Alia alleges plot to destabilize Benue, remove him from office. And equally, we have defection. One party state would lead to anarchy. and that's coming from our former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Federal government falls reps differ with Senate rather, over security summit. Silence as a silent killer. How stigma hampers mental health struggle. Let's take a look at mental health struggles, just before we get to other matters. In Nigeria, it's been one forgotten issue. We hardly talk about it. We have a minister of health and a supposed minister for state for health, and hardly we talk about some of these things. There's mental issues are things that we should, because for anyone to function, he needs to be in the right frame of mind. But when he is not, that's when you see people, they rage on our roads, they rage when you talk, lots of things. Speak to us.
Yes, we see, premium is not placed on healthcare in Nigeria. If not, you will see that, because the reason premium is not placed on healthcare is because those who are supposed to make policies around healthcare don't use the healthcare facilities here. They go abroad. So there's no need to work on it. They just feel there's no need, because if they're sick, they go abroad. So why should they bother themselves? But you know, the mental health, the aggregation or the aggregate of it determines how well a country will do in terms of its purpose and aspiration. Because when you have a country where people are mentally not okay, largely so, as we have it, so many people are not mentally okay. So many people have schizophrenia. So many people are battling with different kind of mental health situations. And if you go to the scientific research, there are thousands of health diseases
Related to mental disorders.
Yeah, mental disorders. There are lots. You have square people that are queer people. You have those in civilized world. They have care for all of them. Okay, you know, in a country where you're also fixated with the pressure of survival, you know, where people are really pressured trying to survive. So many of them have become thieves just because they have to survive. So the mental health situation margin, okay, the mental health threats and pressure is very high in the country. So we should be talking about having centers where people can go and cool off from whatever it is that is bothering them. We should have it across the country. It's an epidemic. It's an epidemic. Some people have taken to marijuana. Some people have taken to different kind of, because they cannot cope with the economy. You know, the pressure of the economy has become so tough that they need to rely on substance to be able to make sense of whatever it is that's going on around them. So that too, addiction comes in and all that. Well, but you see, the only thing we have is a body, NDLA, that go around to arrest and criminalize the action.
And not trying to distort what caused it.
Yeah, we don't have any institution that is going out there to evaluate people's mental health or why they use what they use and all that. We just have an institution that just say, catch them, charge them to court, throw them into prison.
But how about situations? Because as you were saying, all you had to say now, my mind was just going to mental health counselors. We do not have them.
We don't. We don't, because priority is not placed on it. Even in schools where we have those who study, what do you call it?
Guidance and counseling?
Educational psychology.
Okay, all right.
Guidance and counseling, that's what it's called. Educational psychology is the other name. We don't have many of them. Many of the experts that we have here, okay? We don't even place premium on treating trauma. If you don't have a cut that blood is gushing out from, or you had an accident, or you broke your leg, if there's none of that, we don't believe that you are sick. Yeah, we don't believe so. As long as you are walking, you are talking, they call you.
It's believed that you are fine.
They call you, you answer. They call you to come to a place, you come there. You are nothing's wrong with you. That's it. Until somebody is badly, but that is not the case. You know, the human body must function at a particular level, optimum level. If you are not functioning at that level, you are either mentally not okay or something is wrong. So when even to feed is a problem, nobody is thinking about that issue as a problem. Mental. That's why when the Gen Z say this is disturbing their mental health, millennials and the Generation X, we'll be looking at them and be laughing.
Like, what's wrong with
What
this
is wrong with these people? Which mental health? You understand? But there's something called mental health, truly, and it's a problem that society must see. We must, if we don't work on this society to begin to create solutions, if the poverty level or the pressure of survival gets harder than this, people will be losing their minds on daily basis. People will be losing their minds. So we have to do something about our society.
Well, Barrister, thank goodness for social media, actually. It's been a forum or a hub where people unleash themselves. It's in Nigeria, people who are very so vexed about Nigeria. Social media is the only place they can, do the insult without necessarily, doing it, in a more, violent way. Even if the cybercrime thing is trying to limit that, but for me, I feel that's an escape route.
That's where you go and dump.
Just dump that your fear and that your
frustration, anger and everything. Because how can you run a country like this? It's not. You see, the Nigerians are surviving is a miracle. Yes, it's a miracle. I mean, anywhere you turn to, electricity is no go area. Even the health care, if to access it and be able to pay for it, you can't. So everything, cost of living. Then you talk about you have to carry other people also who cannot stand on their own on this pressure. It's a tough thing to talk about. It's a very tough thing to talk about. We need a national conference, a survival national conference in this country. Let's even lay aside restructuring and discuss about our survival. Let's discuss about our survival, the survival of our children, okay? And then the survival of the elderly, the young in our society. Let's deal with it. Is there a way out of it? Can we find an equilibrium to bring things together, at least for us to survive first? Then we can take it to the next step, create the restructuring you are talking about, build on blocks. We need to do things, but you see, those who initiate it are comfortable. Who are supposed to initiate it are comfortable. So when you are talking about it, they'll be looking at it, they don't even know what you are talking about. So it's
true.
unfortunate.
And I sincerely believe that just the change of one individual actually might really, restructure some of these things with the right person in place who understands what intentional leadership is and knows how to go about it, might totally, redefine and move the envelope, beyond what we had expected. But let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper just before we leave for this particular segment. 500 aspirants are just for 57 council chairmanship seats in Lagos. Barrister, let's take a look at this. You had mentioned how that Lagos, is getting it right. You talked about security, how that there's a trust and all that. Now, if you look at it from the background, you notice there's someone who has consistently been making this possible. But let's take a look at it from a very minute angle, which is local government councils. The local government area councils are about to go for the elections. Of course, it's a one-party election, the APC, but there are 500 aspirants hoping to go for 57 spots. Right now, how do you think amongst the 500, is it possible for us to really pick people who really understand what they should be doing there?
Yes, it's the electors that will pick them. The electors that will pick them based on their campaign mantra.
But right now, the data that we have right now is more like a consensus thing.
Yeah, it's more. No, for Lagos, it has always been
Lagos.
It has always been like a consensus, because even if you get in there, your initiative and your creativity does not matter. Doesn't matter what the state wants, is already written. They already have what they want to do. So just to have figureheads there. It's not, you are not coming there to bring extraordinary innovations, because there's no democracy really in Lagos State. So the way, just that it works for them because of their lifestyle, they can agree on things in this particular part of the world. Yes. They can actually agree on things.
And it works.
Yeah, and it works for them. And then there's hierarchy. They are big on respect. They are big on all those. They have a way of resolving their issues, Most times they won't resolve their issues out of court. They really know how to pander and rejuvenate, and they just know how to go around it.
So can that be giving the frame a democracy for them? That is what they understand.
It's democracy
is
for
what
them.
democracy means to them.
Democracy has to be localized. It's democracy for them, but that model may not work everywhere.
Okay.
That model may not work everywhere. That model may also work in the north. Okay.
True.
Yeah, but may not work in the south,
In the
southeast,
yeah,
southeast. It won't work. Yeah, because even it's not just now. When Lord Lugard came in, that's the same thing he faced.
He had it difficult penetrating that region.
Yes, he faced. I mean, what he did in Yoruba land is just to make the Oba a little bit powerful, because the Oba was weak. The Yomensi can remove him. Just give him Calabash, go and commit suicide. That's what it represents. If he goes outside structures. Then for the north, what did Loluga? They just changed the Akali court system. They were already centralized. They already had an Islamic revivalist movement. They had the Sharia law that made centralization possible. And centralization was what Loluga was looking for. One person speak to all your
everyone.
people.
Okay.
Yeah. But when he got to his side, he didn't see that. The first thing was to create warrant chiefs and mandate those warrant chiefs to get to the people. And the people weren't used to all that. They are not. There's no king in this place. You cannot come and tell everybody what to do. So you had problems. So the same thing cascades. It's still with us till date. You may think that no, that's old pre-colonial analysis. No. It's still with us. So it works for them that way. At the end of the day, those ones who may not get it, they still find some things to compensate them. There's a way they just go about their own thing, and it works for them that way. So as long as the state is moving forward, even though we expect more from the state administration, I mean, looking at some of the roads are really bad. Some of the roads are really bad. Sometimes we feel they could use the waterways better than they are using it, than they're exploiting it now. We feel we could have cable transportation. We feel we could have tram in Lagos. We're not seeing all that. Yes. Even though you have the blue line, it's just one direction. Yes. Those things are not really even visible in the mainland. It's just one island. I mean, so we expect more from them, and we feel that perhaps the state will produce more leaders that will look into those areas.
All right, let's equally take a look at other ones here. On the issue of military kills over 13,000 terrorists, rescue 10,000 hostages in 2 years. Barrister, I do not know where these figures are coming from, but the last we know, there has been a couple of de-radicalization programs. We had one in Gombe, about 300 people, Nasarawa and other places. Then how did they get this figure that they've killed 13,000 terrorists?
I don't know who is doing the counting. I don't know. Is it coming from MBS?
No, it's actually coming from the military.
From the military themselves. I mean, is it their job to tell us numbers? I thought it's the Bureau of Statistics and whatever, they are the one that can give such authoritative. But if it's coming from there, we don't know how they got those figures, whether truly they've done that. But what is important is, have they won the war? It's not they need to win the war against, because the terrorists are not trained people. They are not an army, you understand? So they should not defeat an army. This one that they are getting into barracks and taking hold of armories and the rest of that. We shouldn't be hearing things like that. Okay? They should deal with these people once and for all. Win this war. Because they are trained national armed forces. They should be able to use that authority, okay, to win the war, win the battle, conquer the territories, and let's have peace. That's what is important to me than the statistics. For me, that statistics, whether it's true or false, doesn't make any difference, really. What will make a difference is if they're able to exterminate completely the insurgents and establish, peaceful coexistence between, the north and the south. Everywhere in the country will have peace. And so that is the one that really caught my attention.
All right, the big elephant in the room story we have here. A court admits tapes of Kanu ordering Tinubu Wigwe'S death and burning of federal government properties. Barrister, let's be honest as much as we can in this particular matter. I have listened to some of those tapes, some of those messages he has passed on from Radio Biafra. It's available, still available on YouTube and other places. With your area of forte, don't you think this is enough ground to hold Kanu down?
Yeah, he made those statements which were inciting.
Yes.
Yes. They were actually statements that were absolutely wrong because it was meant to incite the people against the government, you know. But when you look at the definition of treason, treason and treasonable felony, it's not when you make a statement to incite, but when you make an attempt to take over.
So what if the statement
or any part thereof?
Yes.
He didn't ask them to go and take over government.
Okay.
Yes, so you can have respect. You see, I am not exonerating him from criminal liability, but I'm saying for a felony, for treason and treasonable felony, you cannot. The case is in court. Let me not even preempt the court.
Okay.
Okay. But what amounts to treason and treasonable felony will be a calculated attempt, okay, to levy war against the states, to take over government, central or any part thereof, local
so successionism is not.
To succeed,
Yes.
is not taking over. Because to succeed is you are asking for freedom to go. You understand? You are not making an attempt to take over by force, okay, or to levy war. You are not levying war. You are not taking over by force. You are asking that you should be free to go, okay? Even though you are doing it violently, you are doing it the wrong way. You are doing it in a way that is not acceptable by even the United Nations or any authority. I mean, it's not acceptable the way you are doing it. There are ways to do it in international treaties, which we have, you know, with part of the world. So for those tapes which are still available, they are really real incriminating evidence, you know, inculpating evidence that will put him in bad light. But I do not think they are weighty and grounded enough to lead to a conviction for treason. I don't think so.
But do you think it's possible legally to get him off the hook at this point, given the complexity?
Yeah, trial is ongoing. I mean, trial is ongoing. They're already turning evidence in court. Okay, so the trial is going on fine. Before Justice Omotosh of the Federal High Court, Abuja. So we should be happy that the case is progressing. Before now, he was just in detention. I mean, and there's no progress is not being made. No kind of progress is being made. They're just there in detention. Anytime they adjourn, it's either one problem or the other. Recuse yourself, don't recuse yourself, and the rest of that. But now all that are gone. So let's see what the trial will turn out to. And this is not even the final court, the Federal Court. We still have the Court of Appeal, we still have the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So whatever, you know, this case, they've litigated it through before. You understand? Before the Supreme Court said they should go and start the novel.
Okay.
So right now, let's see what the court is going to hold and find in the case.
All right, that's just about the time we have for now on this particular segment. And just to let you know, Barrister will be here to take us on our main conversation. When we return, Abia Governor Alex Oti blasts Albure, calls him a clown looking for a crown. Still Enterprise Morning, don't go anywhere.